Section 3.3 is primarily about subtraction of fractions, but we'll also look at order with a less than or equal sign, or less than or greater than symbol in for fraction notation. And we'll also solve some equations, x plus a equals b and a plus x equals b, where a and b may be fractions, and then we solve some applied problems that involve subtraction with fractions. Okay, so the first topic would be, what do we do when we have like denominators? Well, it's similar to when we added fractions with the same denominator. In this case, we subtract the numerators and we keep the denominator. Like 7/10 minus 4/10, we simply subtract the numerators, 7 minus 4, and we leave the denominator as is. And so 7 minus 4 is 3, and again, it's equal to 3/10. This cannot be simplified, so we leave it the way it is. So in this case, simplification is not possible. So when we look at some simple examples, for instance, number 1, 7/8 minus 3/8. So we leave the denominator as is, and in the numerator we have 7 minus 3, and 7 minus 3 is 4, and 4 divided, so we have 4/8, so 4 divided by 8. Of course, we can write it as 4 times 1 divided by 4 times 2, and that simplifies to 1/2. So that's the correct answer for number 1, 1/2. And exercise number 2 is very similar. So here we have 10/16 minus 4/16, so we have 10 minus 4 divided by 16, and 10 minus 4 is 6, 6/16, and we can simplify that because the numerator and denominator are even, so we can write this as 2 times 3 divided by 2 times 5. The 2's cancel, and the simplified fraction is 3 divided by 5, or 3/5. So as long as the denominators are the same, that is really straightforward. And number 3 is, again, very similar. The denominators are the same, 8/10 minus 3/10. So we write that as 8 minus 3 divided by 10. And since 8 minus 3 is equal to 5, we have 5 divided by 10. And we can simplify that because we can write that as 5 times 1. And we can write 10 as 5 times 2, or factor that. So the 5's cancel. And so the final answer is 1/2. So how do we subtract two fractions when the denominators are different? Well, the steps are really the same. We find the least common multiple of the denominators, and again, that number is the least common denominator, the LCD, multiply by 1, using an appropriate notation n divided by n to express each number in terms of the LCD. And then we subtract the numerators, keeping the same denominator, and then we simplify if possible, which is really the same method we use for adding fractions. So the only difference here is that we subtract the subtract the numerators. Instead of adding, we subtract the numerators. It's that simple, that straightforward. So here's a guided solution where we are asked to subtract, we have the problem 5/6 minus 1/9. And so we look at 6 and 9, so the LCD is 18. So we rewrite this as 5/6 times 3 divided by 3, because 6 times 3 is 18. And then minus 1/9, and we need to multiply 9 by 2, so this is then 2 divided by 2. And 5 times 3 is 15. and 1 times 2 is 2, and 15 minus 2 is 13, and so that is the answer, 13 divided by 18, or 13/18. For the next exercise, 3/4 minus 1/3, we note that the LCD is 12. LCD is 12. So this then becomes 3/4 times 1 minus 1/3 times 1. And so then we ask, how many times is 4 and 12? So we need to multiply the 4 by a 3 to get a 12. So we replace the 1 with the 3 divided by 3. Minus 1/3 times, and so 3 goes into 12 4 times. So 4 times 3 is 12. So we replace the 1 with a 4 divided by 4. And 3 times 3 is 9. And 4 times 3 is 12. And 1 times 4 is 4. So now we just subtract the numerators. And so 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 minus 4 divided by 12. And that then is equal to 5/12. 5 divided by 12. In the next example, we have 4/5 minus 3/10. So we notice that the LCD is 10, because 5 goes into 10. So we write this as 4/5. So we need to multiply the 5 by 2 to get a 10 in the denominator, minus 3/10. We don't change that fraction because it already has 10 in the denominator. So then 4 times 2 is 8 divided by 10, minus 3 divided by 10, which is 8 minus 3 divided by 10. And 8 minus 3 is 5, 5/10. And maybe you already see that what that is equal to, but let me just very explicit here. One more time, we write that as 5 times 1 divided by 5 times 2. The 5's cancel, so then the answer is 1/2. For the next exercise, 11 divided by 28 minus 5 divided by 16. The LCD is equal to 112. So we write this then as 11 divided by 28 times 1 minus 5 divided by 16 times 1. So it's 11 divided by 28. And so to determine by what number we need to multiply 28, we divide 28 into 112, and that's equal to 4. So 4 divided by 4, that replaces our 1, minus 5/16 times, now we divide 16 into 112, that's equal to 7. So 7 times 16 is 112. So we have 7 divided by 7. So that means we have 4 times 11 is 44, divided by 112, minus 5 times 7 is 35, divided by 112. And so we have 44 minus 35 divided by 112. And so that's equal to 9 divided by 112. So that's 9 here. So this section of number 3.3 uses the less than or greater than for this box to write a true sentence. So here goes. The question is 3/8 compared to 5/8 less than or greater than? Well, since 3 is less than 5, we put a less than symbol in here. Similarly, for the next exercise, use less than or greater than for this box to write a true sentence. Again, the denominators are the same, and since 7 is greater than 6, 7/10 is greater than 6/10. Now, when we look at this statement here, 2/3 compared to 5/8, that is not easy to compare. So what we need to do is we need to find the LCD, the least common denominator. And once we have the denominators the same, it's really easy to decide which is the greater or the smaller number. So here the LCD is 24. So the LCD is 24. So then we multiply 2/3 by 8 divided by 8 to get a 24 in the denominator. And we multiply 5/8 by 3 divided by 3. That gives us a 24 in the denominator. So now we're comparing 16. 2 times 8 is 16. 24 with 5 times 3, or 15, 24. And since 16 is greater than 15, 16/24 is greater than 15/24. In number 11, again, it's difficult to compare these fractions the way they are, so we need to find the LCD, and here the LCD is 12, because 4 goes into 12, so the LCD is 12. So we write 3/4 times 3 divided by 3, because 3 times 4 is 12, compared to 8/12. So let's see what that is. So 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. 9/12 compared to 8/12. Since 9 is greater than 8, 9/12 is greater than 8/12. So let me just put this in here and there. And in a guided solution, 5/6 compared to 7/8 is less than or greater than. So the LCD is 24. It's 24. So we need to multiply the numerator and denominator by 4. So 4 times 6 is 24, and 5 times 4 is 20. And 7/8. We need to multiply 8 by 3 to get a 24, so we multiply 7 times 3, which is 21. And since 20 is less than 21, it follows that 20/24 is less than 21/24. Or 5 divided by 6 is less than 7 divided by 8. there are many equations that involve fractions. So we're going to look at some equations, x plus a equals b, or a plus x equals b, where a and b may be fractions. And so proceeding as we have before, we subtract a on both sides of the equation. So let's look at number 13. We have x, this is number 13. X plus 2/3 equals 5/6. So we need to subtract 2/3 on both sides to isolate the variable x. So we write this as x plus 2/3 minus 2/3 equals 5/6 minus 2/3. So on the left side, 2/3 minus 2/3 is 0, and x plus 0 is x. So we've isolated x. Now we need to worry about the right side. So now we need to subtract 2/3 from 5/6. So we need to have the LCD, which is 6, because 3 goes into 6. So 5/6 minus, and when we multiply 2/3 by 2 divided by 2, we get a 6 in the denominator. So 2/3 times 2 divided by 2, so that is equal to 5/6. And 2 times 2 is 4, so minus 4/6. And 5 minus 4 is 1. Again, we simply subtract the numerators, and so the answer is x equals 1/6. Number 14 is very similar. So here we have 3/5 plus g equals 7/8. So we need to subtract 3/5 on both sides to isolate t. So 3/5 minus 3/5 plus t equals 7/8 minus 3/5. So on the left-hand side, 3/5 minus 3/5 is 0, and 0 plus t is t. So we just need to subtract on the right side the expression 7/8 minus 3/5. So the LCD for this expression is 40. So we need to multiply the first fraction by 5 divided by 5. So 7/8 times 5 divided by 5, because 5 times 8 is 40, minus 3/5 times 8 divided by 8, because 8 times 5 is 40. So that then is equal to 7 times 5 is 35 divided by 40, minus 3 times 8 is 24 divided by 40, and 35 minus 24 is 9 divided by 40. Which then is our answer for the variable t. So t equals 9 divided by 40. As an application and for problem solving, let's use a graph below to find how much shorter on average a worker bee is than a drone. So here are the lengths of honeybees. A worker is 1/2 inch long. So the worker, let's step 1, familiarize. So worker bee average it says here's 1/2 inch on average, and a drone on average is equal to 2/3 inch. 2/3 inch, and so that D be how much shorter on average a worker B is than than a drone. So in other words, d is the length by how much shorter on average your worker B is than a drone. So that then suggests that we are dealing with a subtraction problem. So now we translate this. So the drone length is d minus the length of the worker B, and that's equal to d. Or 2/3 minus 1/2 is equal to d. So the step 3 would be to solve the equation. So 2/3 minus 1/2 equals d. And so the LCD here is 6. LCD is 6. So we have 2/3 times 2 divided by 2 minus 1/2 times 3 divided by 3. That'll give us a denominator of 6 in each case. That's equal to d. So we have 2 times 2 is 4/6. Let me proceed over here. So 4/6. That's 2/3 times 2 divided by 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. Minus 1 times 3 is 3. And then we have 3 divided by 3, pardon me. 3/6 is equal to d. So therefore, 4 minus 3 is 1. So there we can say d is equal to 1/6. Number 4, we check, familiarize, translate, solve, check. We check our calculations and everything works out. Then we state. A worker B on average is 1/6 of an inch shorter than a drone. So we stated the answer. On average, a worker B is 1/6 of an inch shorter than a drone. And again, notice that we have a unit of measure, inches, 1/6 of an inch shorter than a drone. And again, that is really important, inch, okay? So keep that in mind for units of measure. 1/6 is not the complete answer, it's 1/6 of an inch. This is the end of section 3.3.